This video is about when people say, oh, the government can say whatever they want is the money. That's not true. The government is not allowed legally to say anything they want is money. That's ridiculous. Also, people assume that there's some mystery about the nature of money that most of us can't understand, as if it's some mysterious thing. Well, this is nonsense. Are we supposed to accept without question whatever is given to us to use as money by law and use it as a medium of exchange? Of course not. No. The massive public ignorance regarding the laws, the legal tender laws, and what we're using as money as a medium of exchange are what the people just assume that they can purchase things and everything is okay. They just shrug their shoulders and go along with life. This is ridiculous. We had a disaster with the continental dollar back in the 1700s, and we remedied it with the Coinage Act of 1792 with a law that was logic and common sense, and it was called a legal tender law. The high school economics books don't tell you this information, and there's massive public ignorance regarding this, and I learned about the truth through Merrill Jenkins. Now, the public can't distinguish the difference between the disaster with the continental dollar and the Federal Reserve note, along with the fractional reserve banking, which their lifestyle is dependent upon. Think about that. The continental dollar was a worthless, irredeemable piece of paper, and it became a disaster financially. The Federal Reserve note is created along with fractional reserve banking, which the public in general doesn't understand, and their lifestyle is dependent upon a worthless piece of paper. They don't live off the land, so they're dependent upon it. They don't know the difference. The books just don't tell anybody. The people think that somebody's just going to create a newfangled money system called digital money or cyber money or something, and they're going to have one global digital dollar. This is absolute nonsense. The law must follow common sense. They remedied it in 1792 with the Coinage Act, and now we've got to do it all over again. We've got to remedy the Federal Reserve notes that are worthless and remedy this fake, fraudulent fractional reserve banking. This is immoral, the 1913 law, which allowed for 40% gold as reserves. That's in another one of my videos. The public doesn't understand that the money supply increases based on loans at the commercial banks, and all of the money is born from a loan from the commercial banks and the Federal Reserve banking system. They simply can't comprehend this. They won't sit down long enough to understand because too many people are telling them misinformation. I suggest you go read Merrill Jenkins' Money, the Greatest Hoax on Earth, and the books that I've listed in my YouTube videos so you can further understand what you're talking about. I was ignorant. I didn't know what was going on. The public thinks and believes that since they have Federal Reserve notes that they have money and they're not in debt. They don't realize that collectively as a nation, we're all in debt. We're so-called using debt as a medium of exchange. They can't understand this. They think economic activity increases the money supply. This is simply not true. Economic activity does not increase the money supply. The media tells them misinformation, and all the economics books are creating massive public ignorance on the subject money. The public doesn't understand that we're using debt money. This in fact is inflation is the cause of the rising of prices. That's why the prices continuously go up and cannot go down. As long as we're using what we're using as money by law, the prices cannot go down, and the cost of living is what it is now in 2025, and it's out of control. It's fictitious information to say inflation is rising prices. This is incorrect information and a big fat lie. Inflation is not rising prices. That's ridiculous. It's the nature of our using as money based on the legal tender laws Merrill Jenkins stated in one of his videos on YouTube. The people are too lazy and naive to go read it and watch his video and say it's the nature of money. You refuse to listen to the YouTube videos, in which I can't help some of you. You're just too lazy. You're sitting at your computer and refusing to open your mind, and you're stuck in the mindset of the people that are giving you misinformation. The information from the book by Thorin and Warner, The Truth in Money, explains that we're using debt as a medium of exchange. Now go get the book and read it. Byron Dale, in his book Bashed by the Bankers, did extensive research contacting the government and learned that the private Federal Reserve purchased the Federal Reserve notes for $10 in a piece, and we use it in the loan process. I went to the website by the government called the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. It's hard to find on this website, but it's there, and we have to read through it and see what they're saying is deceptive. The Federal Reserve notes are the reflection of the promissory notes at the private commercial banks and Federal Reserve banks. It's hard for us to wrap our head around this unless we have a bigger picture. The Federal Reserve notes are merely a token and representation of the numbers on the promissory notes They're not dollars of money. Money is not dollars. Federal Reserve notes are not dollars. I want you to think and read. Stop listening to these people that say the dollar is the money or the dollar is the unit. This is a bunch of nonsense. In the short book called What is a Dollar by Edwin Vieira Jr., he states factually that Federal Reserve notes are not dollars and dollars are not Federal Reserve notes. The people just don't get this. They just want to keep repeating ad nauseum the wrong information. So keep watching my new videos as I'm bringing them out and learning through Merrill Jenkins and others.